So I thought I'd just do a quick little follow-up to the video I did the other day about methylation issues, the MTHFR gene and other relevant genes, and why it's important to make sure that you're getting the activated version of folate and B12 in order to methylate properly and do all the functions that these two beautiful B vitamins are needed for in the body. But I thought I'd just do a quick video on who could use and who would be better off using methylated B vitamins. You're probably thinking, well, if I'm not positive for a SNP in the gene that codes for the MTHFR or the other relevant enzymes that are involved in methylation, you're probably thinking, I wouldn't need them. I would actually say that there are certain things that we often see in people who are undermethylated, so who are having some kind of problem with methylating and activating their folate and their B12. And these are the sort of things that I would often see. So somebody who has histamine problems often are associated with issues with methylation. Other things would be mood disorders, people who have a trouble producing their neurotransmitters properly, because in this methylation cycle, you're also producing something called SAMe, which is needed to produce neurotransmitters. These people often also have high basophil counts, which are a white blood cell. So this is often associated with the high histamine levels and higher, tendency to have allergic responses. So that's really interesting too. Another common thing that we'd see in somebody who's undermethylating is an inability to produce red blood cells properly, or macrocytic anemia, which is essentially where you are anemic, but it's because your red blood cells haven't matured. That's an interesting one too. And that's because we require folate and B12 in order to make the red blood cells. So you might be low in energy. We also see, of course, the one that we all know about is higher homocysteine levels in somebody who is undermethylating, and that's because we require a methyl group in order to convert the homocysteine. So that's an interesting one too. Another one that we often see is higher levels of toxins. So essentially, where the person can't essentially get rid of toxic loads and things like that. So they're having trouble eliminating the toxins, and they end up building up in the bloodstream. So that's really interesting too. They tend to not be able to handle alcohol as well, because all of these things are involved in the body getting rid of heavy metals and toxins in the body. So if a person's having trouble with that, it can be an indicator sometimes of being an undermethylator. Obviously, the gold standard is to do gene testing, because that will tell you what SNPs you have, problems with the genes, as in, for example, the MTHFR gene and other relevant genes that are involved in methylation. So that's the gold standard, and that would give you a yes or no, you are an undermethylator, or even an overmethylator is kind of an interesting situation too. But if you go by these symptoms, if you're noticing any of these symptoms, plus you've tried all the other relevant other avenues for these symptoms, like let's say you're low in serotonin, you're getting mood issues, and you've tried to go through the avenue of increasing the the tryptophan in the diet, things like that, and you're not getting resolution, it could be worth gene testing. Issues obviously with histamine as well can be an interesting one too. If you've tested and, for example, the person has normal levels of the DAO enzyme, but they're still having issues with histamine, it could be a worthwhile avenue to look into as well. So I'd actually argue that basically anybody, even if you do not have a positive issue with your methylation genes, I would actually argue that most people would actually do better on an activated B vitamin supplement or B complex supplement than even just the standard anyway. Because as I said in the other video, a lot of these supplements that are B vitamins come with folic acid, which is actually just very, hard to convert anyway, even if you don't have methylation issues, and it's less bioavailable. So I would actually say that, activated B vitamins or a complex activated B vitamin supplement would actually be better for basically anyone, because it's just way more bioavailable. If you're experiencing symptoms of high histamine, problems with your neurotransmitters, so your moods are funny, we know that the B vitamins are heavily involved in anything to do with metabolism, the glycolysis, the Krebs cycle, the electron transport chain, anything to do with energy is going to require B vitamins because of the, you know, high use of the dehydrogenase enzymes. Anytime you have a dehydrogenase, they need B vitamins. So anything to do with metabolism problems, you know, I would argue that anybody could use a B complex, an activated one.